Hi everyone, it's Sam from STEM Minds. I hope that you're all enjoying the beautiful weather this weekend and all staying safe and healthy. So I'm coming live to you today to launch a new series or sort of a refresh version, I guess, of an old series with all of you where each week we are going to actually be launching some free resources for all of you to get to explore STEM activities at home, some tips and tricks about teaching STEM, basically just some free resources and tips and advice for doing STEM learning with your children or students or even just yourselves as well. So yeah, it's kind of like a revitalization of the Fearless Friday series that we did a while ago. We will have some like special guests who are on throughout the weeks and things like that. But given that, this is a time where we're all physically distant, the team and myself have been brainstorming some different ways that we can still reach our community. And still hopefully feel a connection to all of you just by means of a screen instead of being in person right now. So for today's topic, we're kicking it off with our top 5 suggestions for exploring STEM at home, especially given the recent updates that students and children will not be going back to school for the end of the school year. We thought it was prudent to sort of put together a list of some of our top 5s. Favorite activities that we've seen with our students. So the things that we thought, the team and I thought would be easily accessible for them at home, but also what sort of gains the most interest. So they're kind of our top 5 activities for complementing what the students are already doing with their own distance learning, but also just what we found to be sort of the most exciting ways that you can continue their fearless learning journey at home. So number 5 is a STEM design challenge. STEM design challenges are basically where you give your kids a handful of materials and ask them to create something. These design challenges are something that we do in our camps and our programs all the time, and they really don't need to be anything that's too crazy complicated. In our experience, what we found to be some of the best design challenges were actually just when you pick up maybe 2 or 3 different materials that you have around the house. So it could be something as simple as like a ball of string, a couple of elastics, some, popsicle sticks or recycled paper or cardboard, and ask your kids to create something with it. What we find is that if you give them sort of a limit of what types of materials they're allowed to do, so you sort of restrict the amount of materials that they're allowed to build from, their designs end up being extremely creative that way. So it's a really good exercise. It's fun for the kids to be able to sort of seemingly be able to create something out of nothing, or not nothing, but simple materials, I guess. But what we find from this sort of educational and learning perspective is it's a really good exercise in critical thinking and creativity. And I'm sure that if you try that with your kids or your students, even if you're a teacher looking for different ways to do some different projects with them, it's a really great one to sort of have them get some hands-on learning and experience, but also have their minds working as well. Number 4 for us is 3D design. So we love 3D design at STEM Minds, and there are a lot of really great free 3D design tools out there. For ages 8+, we recommend Tinkercad, which is a free online software. All you need is a username, like an email and a password and an internet connection to sign up and begin creating. But there are also a variety of apps that you can download for both Android and iOS for the 4 to 7 age group to have them sort of creating and thinking in 3 dimensions. So 3D design is a really great way for them not only to take concepts learned in traditional sort of drawing or art and elevate that into a new sort of like using technology to sort of elevate that same sort of understanding and work that they do. But it's also really good for planning and mathematical connections too, especially when you have that third dimension. It's almost like you're hiding math in the art. So, you know, depending on how your child or your students feel about math, maybe don't highlight that until after they've done 3D design. But it's a really great way for them to look at some of the connections between, you know, these typical subjects that they would learn in school and how those actually interconnect. We do also recommend Blender for older students. So I would say Blender is probably applicable for ages 12 and up. And especially if you have kids at home who have explored 3D design before, they really enjoy 3D design, whether they've done it on their own or maybe even in camps or programs with us. Blender is a really cool way for them to take that learning and sort of take it to the next level. I should mention as well, after I'm finished going live, I'm going to be posting a bunch of these resources in the comments of the video below. So some links to where you can download or access some of these softwares and some recommendations for apps and things like that that you might want to check out for exploring STEM at home as well. Number 3 is any sort of coding app or online sort of platform. Coding is a great activity because there are so many different outlets for students to be able to explore code, whether they seem like they actually enjoy, you know, coding and math and things that are typically considered to be a little bit more technical, I guess. So I guess to give you a personal example, I was always one of those, not only one of those children, but also one of those adults before I started sort of exploring STEM education for youth. And coding in itself is actually inherently very creative. So if you have a child or a student who is really, they seem to really like tech and sort of the technical side of things, or understanding how things work, understanding how, you know, things get put together, but you also find they're a very creative thinker. Coding is a really great sort of marriage of those two. And again, there are lots of really great coding platforms and apps out there. So Scratch is a really, really popular one. Scratch has a really great app version too called Scratch Junior for younger kids. So for ages like 4 to about 7 or 8, Scratch Junior is a really great one as well. There are also resources like Tinker, which we use quite a lot in our programs. So for students who are looking to explore things like Java and Python and some of the most commonly used coding languages nowadays. Tinker and Trinket is the other one, has a variety of sort of guided lessons and tutorials that students are able to sort of work through there as well. The other thing about coding is it's really great for helping your child build some problem solving and resilience skills. Coding is one of those things where, you know, 99.9% of the time, nothing is perfectly right when you first write, you know, your code, even if it looks right at first. There are countless times where students and staff alike will, you know, miss a semicolon or miss a comma or something like that. So it's really, really good for building some of those critical thinking, problem solving, and even resilience skills as well. Number 2 for us is video game design, which I'm sure for those of you who know us is no big surprise. Lots of us at STEM Minds, we love video game design. It consistently is our most popular program amongst our students as well. And I think part of that is because it allows students to really understand again, all of these sort of different areas of not only the curriculum that they're used to, but I would say, I guess, life in general, and how those always mix together. So video game design is great because it allows them to explore art, it allows them to explore language and storytelling. It allows them to explore math through some of the code and sort of the thought processes that you have to go through in actually designing the game and what that player experience is going to look like. And even just the sort of coding aspect of, player behavior, character behavior, all of that sort of thing. So yes, it got music connections as well with, having your game soundtrack. So there's just so much that students learn by actually creating video games. And what we find to be the most, I guess, beneficial of that is that they not only are learning all of these skills and building out, their problem solving skills and their creativity skills. They're also sort of having an inside look at how the video games that, or even just, mobile games and stuff like that they love to play are created. So it gives them a little bit more of a better appreciation for the things that they like to do just in their recreational time, and really have them understand, like, this is what the process actually looks like, which then later on leads them to have more informed and better informed, I should say, choices of, what might they want to do as a career. Consistently, when we ask students, they're, I would say like 80% of the time, they say, I want to make video games. I want to be a video game developer. I want to be a programmer or something like that. And so by allowing your children to start to understand or start to explore these activities at home, it just gives them a better understanding of what that process actually looks like, and gives you as a parent or as an educator, more sort of information to talk to them about, and sort of becomes that platform for you to be able to open up those conversations and bridge, what happens in their everyday life or in their leisure time with the way the world works, for lack of a better term. So yeah, there are lots of great apps and programs for designing video games as well. Bloxels is one of our favorite for iOS and Android. So if you have like tablet-based devices or mobile devices, whereas FlowLab we really, really love for an online program. FlowLab is one of the best video game design softwares, I would say, that we have found out there. And if you have a student who's, again, maybe a little bit on the older side, who is very, very eager to gain experience, Unity, the actual game engine Unity, is free to download, and there can be a bit of a steep learning curve, but if you have a child who is, up for challenge and likes to be challenged in that way, definitely check out Unity and encourage them to take their game design skills to the next level through that. And then our number one way for exploring STEM at home right now is some of the programs that we actually have offered. So a lot of the programs that we're running currently, so our STEAM at Home program for ages 4 to 7, our virtual STEM camps for ages 8 to 14, and our brand new STEM on-demand courses were all created with the knowledge and the understanding that kids are at home. They are at home, missing their friends, missing daily life, missing normal routine. As I think, most of us are feeling the same. I don't think that's something that is only happening with our kids, but I think it's happening with a lot of us teachers and parents and adults as well. And so these programs allow them not only to get guided experience by our expert instructors. So if you have a student, you really want them to start exploring like STEM activities at home, but you're either not sure where to start, or maybe they're the type of person who just needs a little bit of initial motivation to get the ball rolling. Our programs are really a great way to sort of kickstart that learning. All of the tools that we use are easily accessible as well. So for example, if you have a student who you sign them up for our virtual STEM camps, they can then continue their learning at home once they sort of learn the basics and the ropes from our instructors. And our new STEM on-demand courses are basically our STEM Minds courses that have been converted into self-directed online learning. So what we've done is taken our content and tried to make it a lot more accessible for all of you at home, so that, if you aren't able to join the STEM camps, or you have a student who the way they work best is actually just by, sort of working at their own pace, our STEM on demand courses are great for them. So it's still getting the, the knowledge from all of us that students love and parents love, but a way for them to sort of engage with that knowledge at their own pace. And yeah, so there you have it. There's our top 5 at-home STEM activities. We will now be posting some useful resources and stuff like that in the comments as well. But yeah, our new round of virtual camps and STEM camps start up again tomorrow. So we're launching our first ever animation camp. So we're very excited about that. And we will be offering our virtual camps and virtual programs until the end of June, where we'll then move into our summer camp. And we also have a virtual offering for summer camp this year as well. So yeah, so we'll post some of those resources in the comments of the video below. As always, if you have any questions or you like some of the ideas that we shared today and you are just looking for some advice on how to get started, always feel free to reach out, either email or through social media messages, and our team is always happy to answer and give advice. And yeah, we look forward to launching this new series of resource sharing and hopefully conversations about STEM learning with all of you. So stay tuned to our social media channels for more coming soon next week.